Live from New York, this is the Harvey Hour. My name's Nathan Harvey, and as always, I'm joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. How you doing on this Friday evening?
I'm happy it's Friday.
Another Friday fun day for us here at the Harvey Hour, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. As always, we got our mock draft coming up. We got more NBA basketball. We got more playoff basketball.
Yep.
We didn't have a show when Game 2 for the Warriors hit, but we'll talk about Game 3 today. But let's jump into our first topic, because we're talking some football. Tua recently said in a press conference that he actually contemplated retirement, and he talked about potentially retiring with his family due to his prior concussions that he had this past season, but at the moment, he couldn't turn away just yet. So I want to ask you, do you think it's time for the Dolphins now to look towards potentially trying to find a long-term replacement for Tua, since he's already thinking about retirement, which I think is smart? Do you think it's time to find another quarterback?
Well, he said he talked about retirement with his family, probably soon after he had his third concussion, and then he decided he wasn't going to retire. So my feeling is that if he can play this year without getting another concussion, that he'll continue to play for as long as he can. I don't think he's thinking about a short term. Now, whether the Dolphins may want some insurance in that regard and either draft or trade for a quarterback that could be step in and do a good job if something happens to him, that's a different consideration. I mean, do they still have Teddy Bridgewater, or is he gone elsewhere?
I am not sure. I'll look that up right now.
Yeah.
But
And then the other guy they have, the rookie, he actually did okay, I thought. In the Skylar Thompson.
Yeah.
He did all right in the playoff game, given the situation he was thrown into with very little preparation.
They have Mike White. They picked up Mike White.
They picked up Mike White. Well, I think if they were worried about Tua, then they would have gone for another quarterback with a higher potential or skills than Mike White.
You don't like Mike White?
He's a hot and cold. I mean, in one game he's great, and the next game he throws a ton of interceptions.
Fair.
Yeah, so that's my feeling.
Well, it's funny that this Tua press conference came in, and then it sort of made its waves through social media, and then a clip surfaced of one particular person that was having a little meeting, a little event, and he was asked about playing for the Dolphins, and that person would be
Tom Brady.
He was asked that I assume it's one of his branding, his NFT brand or whatever. He was asked whether or not he would play for the Dolphins and come out of retirement, and he did not. He did one of his Brady answers where he didn't really just outright say no, but he also didn't say yes. He said he has a lot of friends on the Dolphins. And he has a lot of friends.
He has a lot of friends on every team.
Right. He said that he has close connections with a couple teams, but the Dolphins, he has a lot of friends on there. So, of course, that sparked a little bit of could Brady play for the Dolphins? It was very, very good timing.
When did this happen?
A couple days ago, I believe. It may have been yesterday. It could have been the day before, but it was very, very recently. It was about I think it was a little bit after, I'm pretty sure it was after Tua made this press conference with the Dolphins about how he contemplated retirement. So I don't think Tom Brady's going to come back, and I mean, it would be in the area technically. I mean, it would be in Florida. His kids are in schools in Miami. Yeah. So he could play for them. I mean, that's why the Dolphins don't have a pick in this draft, is because they tampered with Tom Brady back in 2020. So he was already, basically there in 2020. So maybe, but I don't see it. Do I think that they should definitely think about, finding a quarterback to potentially replace Tua in case he gets hurt? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a little suspicious that Tom Brady is not taking his announcing option with CBS. Fox this year. That he's laying back there and kind of watching what's going to happen and not really having a permanent role doing anything for a year.
He's enjoying life.
Yeah, well,
for a year.
I think he's waiting, and some quarterback gets hurt, gets knocked out, they call him up and say, "Hey Tom, would you come play for us?" He might give it a thought.
And isn't Tua that quarterback?
Could be.
Tua has gotten hurt. He had
No, I
three
say
head
if he gets
injuries.
hit, if he gets another concussion, then yeah, I think
He's going to be forced to retire if he gets another concussion. I don't think medically.
No. I think other players have had more than 4 concussions and they're still playing. I don't say it's a good thing.
Back in like the 90s?
I say that's maybe not a good thing, but no, now I think there's other players.
You don't think the NFL would step in and say, hey.
No, I don't.
Especially,
I think it would be a doctor's decision.
Especially after what we saw against the Bengals, how his body seized up.
I know.
It was in a grade 3 concussion, which is like you're seeing stars, you're nauseous, you're vomiting 24 hours after the hit or whatever.
He rode home on the plane with the team that night. That was weird.
That was the
I didn't
weirdest
understand
thing.
that.
So, I mean, the Dolphins got to do something because if Tua's already thinking retirement, and I think it was a smart idea to think about retirement because your health, and the NFL is X amount of years. Your life is going to be much longer than your time in the NFL. So you got to think about, how you're going to live after football. If Tua's thinking about retirement, and he should, I think it's a smart idea to at least, put that thought in your mind after what happened this past season, then I definitely think the Dolphins should maybe draft a quarterback. I'm not saying they can't say I can't put him in the first round, but a late round pick up a Stetson Bennett, who, according to reports, may go undrafted. May get him. You could get maybe Max Duggan, the guy from TCU. You may want to pick him up. You got some options. You could wait till next year.
I think there's a chance that they could draft a quarterback.
I think they should. Mike White, he's a backup. Skylar Thompson, he was a rookie last year. He didn't look great.
I thought he did okay, considering the situation he was put into. They dropped him into a playoff game, and he hardly played at all year.
And I'm pretty sure he went
okay.
toe-to-toe with the Bills.
They were still in the game right at the end.
Yeah.
I mean, it was his last pass that was actually dropped.
Okay.
That ended the game.
Yeah.
I thought he played okay.
I just... You gotta find someone with talent. Skylar Thompson, he's a rookie, but he's also 26 years old, and he was a rookie last year. He was 25.
26 isn't that old
for a rookie. It is. Rookies are coming out 21, 22 years old. You're 4 years older than you're a little bit old. But Mike White, like you said, he's inconsistent. He has these Superman
I'm surprised
games.
they picked him up.
I
don't know why they picked him.
He has these Superman games, and then he goes back to being a backup quarterback.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So, I don't know whether or not they're going to try to say, "Oh yeah, well, we're hoping to get Superman Mike White in case Tua goes down." Because can Mike White come in and fill in a role for a game or two or however long? Sure. But also Teddy Bridgewater could have done that as well.
Yeah.
So,
where did Teddy Bridgewater go? Does anyone know?
I'm not sure. He may still be a free agent. Let's see.
I think Teddy Bridgewater's better than Mike White. I would think they would try to hang on to Teddy Bridgewater.
Well, I mean, let's
maybe
see.
it's a money thing.
Could have been. Hey, Teddy Bridgewater, he's 30 years old.
He's not that old for a quarterback nowadays.
He looked pretty good when he was in there.
Yeah.
He didn't really do
He got
much.
hurt. He broke his finger, right?
He did get hurt. Pretty sure he got hurt in the Jets game, the first Jets game, if I'm not mistaken. I think Sauce Gardner's the one that hit him. Yeah, I think that was the insane game that they played. But you got to find someone. You got to find a quarterback to back up Tua. Is Skylar Thompson adequate? Sure. Is Mike White somewhat capable? Sure. But if we're talking about long-term starter QB role,
long-term starter QB role wouldn't be Tom Brady. That's for sure. He might play 1 year.
That's also fair. And I just don't think Brady's coming back to the NFL unless it's
Lamar Jackson. Not a chance. He just priced himself. He's priced himself out of any market.
Right. But hey, that's not a bad idea. But I think Tua's going to go in. The problem is, how cautious is Tua going to be? Is he going to step into throws? Is he going to take the hits? Because that's the big question mark. Because if Tua is scared if Tua becomes Kyler Murray, we got a problem. Kyler Murray's afraid to run. He's afraid to get hit. And that's causing some problems. So if Tua's not going to step into throws and he's going to be afraid to get hit, then what are you going to do? You're just going to hope he could just make accurate throws in the pocket and just pray he doesn't get hit?
We'll see how he performs.
I would say go out and get another quarterback. Personally, I'd say go out and get another quarterback because Skylar Thompson, Mike White, they ain't starters.
Well, I'd say maybe draft one.
Draft one late. You don't know. You don't want to waste an early pick because what if Tua never gets hurt? What if Tua just stays healthy this year, next year,
They'll be
year
fine.
after? Exactly.
He'll be fine. He's a good quarterback.
Don't waste an early pick on Tua. I say go fifth the earliest. Mainly 6th and 7th. If Stetson Bennett's there in the 7th, I would take him. regardless of his off-the-field issues. But I want to move on here. We're going to the association. Last night was a rough night for me, since I picked the Kings to win in 5. But I did expect the Warriors to at least win one at home. They're one of the best home teams. But also, I felt like the Kings had a chance because they are, in the West, the best road team. So, I mean, before I jump into this, I want to know, what is your takeaway from this insane Warriors win that happened last night?
They controlled the game from start to finish. They got a lead, and they never gave it up. The Kings never had the lead the whole game. They got way behind in the late third and fourth quarter, and they just did, they sat down the Wiggins and Curry and Klay Thompson. They sat them down with 2.5 minutes to go in the game. It was over. So the Warriors definitely dominated the game. You look at the stats; they have 15 more points on 3-point shots than the Kings had. They had 31 assists to 21 for the Kings. That's 10 more. That's a lot, right? And the scoring. Well, what happened to Malik Monk? He only had 4 points. The guy was a star at home. What happened to him on the road? I don't understand it. De'Aaron Fox is the only one that really played great. I mean, Sabonis had 15 points and 16 rebounds, so he's a credible job. And Harrison Barnes had 17 points, but where was Monk? He was missing in action. Curry had 20. Curry had 36, and Wiggins is starting to feel it. Right? He had a very good game. 20 points, had 7 rebounds, 3 assists. So I'd say the Warriors. I said that'd be the Kings in 7. I just don't see the Kings beating the Warriors at home. The Warriors are almost unbeatable at home. So I think it's going 7. I like the Kings at home in the 7th game.
It does look like it will probably go 7, and every
to
team
go 5.
They need to steal.
Kings have got to
steal
win the
this
next
game.
one, and they might be able to.
They got to win the next 2. But
they should win the next 2. But they would have a game at home. They would have a game at home, right? Yep. They could steal this one at the Warriors, and then they've looked good at home. They beat them pretty soundly in the second game at home.
Second game, yeah.
So it's a very good series.
Yeah,
and the one I'm enjoying watching. Some of the others are a little lopsided. But I like that series a lot, and I'm still looking at the Kings in 7.
My Kings in 5 pick, I felt so great about it, and then when Draymond got suspended, I was like,
that's something, right? The Kings had an opportunity last night without Green playing, and they couldn't capitalize, and they weren't even close, really.
Right.
So he's going to be back the next game.
Right.
He'd be fired up too, I would expect.
I would also agree. I'm going to say this about the Warriors. I have rooted for the Warriors for a long time. And the way the Warriors are acting and what people are speculating now about the Kings is a little bit ridiculous. Rick Bucher, he's an NBA analyst, he said that because the league decided to suspend Draymond Green, that this series should have an asterisk next to it because of that. It's a little bit stupid. And how about this?
He must be an announcer for the sports writer for the Warriors. I mean, he sounds like he's an NBA
analyst. Oh, how about this one? The Warriors, according to Zach Lowe, another NBA guy, the Warriors feel like Domantas Sabonis is using the ball as a weapon on offense. Here's a quote. There's some anger within the organization toward the league. There is a sense in the organization that Sabonis is shoving people on offensive rebounds and playing with his elbows out and using the ball as a weapon on offense. I've never heard more complaining after losses than I am about this team.
Yeah.
Like,
they're the champions.
And also, Kevon Looney, the center for the Warriors, even said, that's how big men play. I mean, Giannis, you talk about throwing elbows. Giannis throws the most amount of elbows I've ever seen a big man throw. Embiid gets physical. Jokic, when he is down low, gets physical. So the idea is using a ball as a weapon? So?
Speaking of Embiid, does it bother you that he didn't get a suspension and Green got one?
Not at all.
I didn't see that there was that much difference between what Green did to Sabonis and what Embiid did to Claxton. There wasn't that much difference.
There's a big difference. Claxton stood over him and stayed over him. Domantas Sabonis just grabbed his
Laying
leg
on the
for a second. He didn't look at him. He didn't taunt him. He did nothing. He just tried to trip him up. And also, Draymond Green tried to gymnast trampoline off Sabonis's rib cage. And Embiid, I guess, was going for a midsection shot and missed. But you can't really. Only Embiid knows what he was intending to do. But with this game, the huge X factor that I'm surprised you didn't say is this big number by Kevon Looney. 20 rebounds.
Yeah.
Also, 9 offensive rebounds, which was half of the entire Warriors' offensive rebounds.
Yeah.
Kevon Looney, even though Kevon Looney was not the biggest aspect of this game, was probably, a very, very high number 2. Because this was the Curry show. This was the classic Warriors in desperation, let's put it all on Curry. And I was thinking about it today, and I realized that off the top of my head, I can name 5 things that are nearly impossible to stop or slow down. The first one would be Shaq in the paint. He was so physically dominant, you cannot stop him in the paint. Jordan's mid-range shot, you cannot stop Jordan's mid-range shot whatsoever. Kareem's skyhook, arguably the most unblockable shot in NBA history. LeBron driving to the hoop. He could out-physical anybody in the league. When he's driving to the hoop, get out of his way because you will get called for a blocking foul, shooting foul, reach-in foul, whatever. The last one is when the crowd is in it. Curry will make as many threes as he humanly can. You cannot stop Curry. When the crowd is in it, Curry will make almost every single three. And that's what happened today. Or I guess yesterday. Curry went off. Curry shot last night 6 of 12 from 3, 12 of 25 from the floor. He couldn't be stopped. It was like the fourth quarter. In game 1, Curry and Clay could not be stopped. There were some Warriors fans in Sacramento in game 1. But when you get into Chase Center, it used to be Oracle Center, Oracle Arena. When the crowd's in it, you cannot stop Curry. Curry will do something incredible. Step back 3, fall away 3. God forbid he gets a 3-point and 1. Where he does this 1, 2, 3, 4. That corner 3 in game 1 was ridiculous.
Yeah.
When Curry gets to that point, we saw it in the Celtics series 2 or 3 times. You can't stop him. That's when he puts him to sleep. So this was the Warriors in desperation, because if they went down 3-0, Curry said it himself, they probably aren't winning a single game after that, let alone the series. So this was the Warriors when they were extremely desperate. Could I see the first? And also, this is another thing. The Kings, I believe, are the 9th best shooting team from 3. They're averaging 27.3% from the 3-point line. There's multiple games now where they start 0 for 8, 0 for 10, 0 for 13 from the 3 to start the game out. The Warriors started this game 5-0. They went up 5-0, and the Kings never held the lead or tied the game whatsoever. There were 0 lead changes, 0 times tied. The Warriors had as much as a 23-point lead at this point in the game. There's also something big here. The first 2 games, the Kings led in points in the paint, second chance points, and fast break points. In this game, they led in fast break points, but they had less second chance points and points in the paint, and that's due large part to Kevon Looney, especially those second chance points. If Kevon Looney's dropping you 9 offensive rebounds, which is half of your entire team's offensive rebounds, that's huge. Especially when you have shooters going off like Andrew Wiggins in this game, like Stephen Curry. Jordan Poole had 1 3 in this game, but there were solid 16 points in there. When you have shooters going off, and still, Klay Thompson didn't have a great game. 13 points. He shot 3 of 10 from the floor. He shot, I think this is 33% overall, 5 of 15. When the Warriors get to that level, the crowd's in it. Curry's absolutely exploding. You can't stop it, and we saw that with the Kings. The Kings have played surprisingly good defense. In game 2, it was their defense that stopped the Warriors.
Yeah, well, they had 15 turnovers in last night's game, and they cost them 22 points.
Right.
And the Warriors only had 12 and 7. Well, they had
11
12, but it was
11 turnovers. 11.
7 points.
Yeah,
so that was a big difference in the game right there.
Yeah.
Right? The Kings got to stop turning the ball over.
Absolutely. And they have shooters on their team. They just can't make a single bucket.
Well, Malik Monk came. He's got to.
Malik
what
Monk,
happened to him?
He was a no factor in this game whatsoever. Keegan Murray, if I'm not mistaken, he's a rookie, but he also led rookies in 3-pointers this year. You expect him to shoot better then
He had
1 of
6
5.
points.
1 of 5 from the 3, and you led rookies in 3-point in 3-point makes. Malik Monk needs to come off the bench and drop at least 20. At least 20. You can't have him go out and drop 4 points.
I think they'll play better in the next game.
They have to play better. Or otherwise, they're absolutely screwed. I guarantee you,
I don't think so. Absolutely screwed. I pick them in 7.
The
Warriors are not a good road team. That's why they're not. That's why they're not completely screwed.
I think if the Warriors get to another insane game like this, where they're up by 23 at some point in the game at home, I think that will carry over into the next 2 games, and I think they go out in a reverse sweep. Go down 2-0, you win in 6. That's what I'm afraid of. The Warriors get in this insane rhythm in the playoffs, which they tend to do, except this year it's less likely because of how they looked in the regular season. They couldn't win any road games. They had like the 3rd worst road record in the NBA. I think if they get in this tempo where Curry's dropping 35 points a game, the Kings are absolutely screwed. Even though I picked them in 5. But I think if the Kings could win 1 game on the road, I think they go back to Sacramento. I think they win game 5 because I have to say that technically, although I do believe it. Because I think if you steal one for the Warriors at home, where they are insane at home, I think if you beat them at home, you go back to Sacramento, you get the cowbells ringing again because the Cowboys aren't allowed in Chase Center. You get the cowbells ringing, you get De'Aaron Fox hopefully making more than 3 of 9 from 3. And Domantas Sabonis shooting, he's been shooting a little bit better.
And Monk doing something besides 4 points.
Malik Monk as well. I think if he goes back home after going up 3-1, you have a better chance at closing out the game in game 5. So that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping Malik Monk drops at least 20. That's what they need. And also, they got into foul trouble early. I think, was it Keegan Murray that got into foul trouble? Yeah, Keegan
5
Murray.
Personals.
He had 3 fouls within the first 5 minutes. Probably even less than that. It was bad. Very, very bad. So I'm not giving up yet. I still feel good. But I do think my hope is dwindling a little bit when it comes to that 5-game pick. But I'm not backing down.
Okay.
I'm not backing down yet.
Hang in there. It's not. They still have a chance at that.
7-game series. Although
I'm not surprised they lost last night.
Not at all.
Going to the Warriors, they're the champions, right?
Right.
Going into their on their court with the way they played this year, the Warriors at home,
right?
And given it's a playoff game, and the Kings haven't been to the playoffs in a long time. None of their players are really had any playoff experience. It's not surprising they lost that game. I think that they'll be better prepared this next game.
You got to get adjusted to you. If you slow, you can't stop Steph Curry. If you slow him down and the crowd doesn't go crazy, I think you have a better chance because then Curry won't be, Steph Curry. You won't get into, put him to sleep Curry. I think you'll just get a pretty good player. You have to slow him down. You can't stop Curry. You have to slow him down. And the Kings, they did it in the first 2 games. They were able to slow down the Warriors, set the tone. You got to do that. You can't go down 5-0. To start the game, and then you'll never rebound because you can't hit a damn 3. The Warriors are a small team. You got to play physical with them. But we will see. I think game 4 is on the 23rd, which is Sunday. So we have a little bit of a break before then. But let's get into our next topic. We'll go to break after this one. But tonight, game 3, Cavaliers at Knicks. They're going to MSG. It's series tied 1 apiece. 8:30 p.m. Eastern on ABC tonight. Last game was pretty ugly for the Knicks. Very ugly game. They lost, I believe, 107-94, if I'm not mistaken.
They were way behind at some point.
It was 107-90, maybe.
They got way behind in that game.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. But I want to ask you, do you think the Knicks will take the lead tonight at MSG to go up in the series 2-1?
I think they have to, actually. I really think this is somewhat of a must-win, even though it doesn't close anything out. I think they got to reestablish themselves as a credible team, not dominant, but credible that can deal with the Cavaliers. Because the Cavaliers really beat them badly in the last game, and the first game was very close. So I think it may appear that the Cavaliers are a better team at this currently, and I'm not so sure that's true. I think Donovan Mitchell is a special player. Aside from him, I'm not sure the Cavs really have a whole lot. Whereas the Knicks have several players that can really step it up and do well in a game. So I think, in a way, it's somewhat of a must-win for the Knicks tonight.
Absolutely. Although, The problem is the Knicks do have talented players. Just can they perform well? RJ Barrett has been absolutely garbage. I wonder if I still have the numbers here. I don't think I do, which is a little bit disappointing, but RJ Barrett has been terrible. Absolutely terrible. He's averaging 10 points a game in this series. He's averaging like 20% from the floor, 20-something percent.
Well, now he's
at
home. Now he's at home, and this is his first
You
playoff he's ever been in.
It's second playoff because he was in the Hawks-Knicks one as well.
Oh, okay.
So I'm saying you may think about benching him, honestly, because you have players coming off the bench. Obi Toppin needs more minutes. If he's getting the second fewest minutes compared to a guy that got 2.5 minutes, and Obi Toppin's your next highest guy, and he's talented, yeah, I would say put him in. Put him as a starter if you want a big guy. Although, it depends. If you want to go more offensive, I would take out Quentin Grimes, who's good defensively, not great offensively. You put in Emmanuel Quickly. He's a better offensive guy if you want to go that route. But it's about matchups here.
Yeah. You'd be playing small ball with Quickly in there.
Yeah, you play small ball, but you'd be more offensive. That's the problem. And RJ, he has to get into a rhythm.
I don't think that they'll do that because I don't think they want to fool with Barrett's psyche, and they got to give him. He's going to get his chance tonight, and I bet he'll play better.
He better, because right now he's looking terrible. This season he didn't play very well, but right now he's been playing horrible. And it's a question of, because once again, I'll say this again. You won't stop Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell will get however many points he gets, however many, whatever it could be. It's like the Giannis in the Celtics series. He's going to drop however many points as he can. Can you slow down Darius Garland? Can you slow down Karis LeVert? Can you stop Evan Mobley? Those type of players. Jared Allen can make a couple threes. Can you slow down those players enough where you could keep Jalen Brunson, Julius Randle, Emmanuel Quickly, Obi Toppin, Josh Hart? These players, can they keep up if you just slow them down? Because in the game too, Darius Garland was just shooting the lights out of the ball. 3-point. You couldn't stop it. Karis LeVert dropping threes, dropping dimes, laying in for two, playing great defense. I think Jalen Brunson made shot like 1 of 6 from 3. It wasn't good. They couldn't buy a bucket at all. If the Knicks get into some sort of offensive rhythm, I think that's where, especially MSG, probably the most famous stadium in the NBA. Maybe in at least the United States, the most famous stadium.
The Mecca of basketball.
It's gonna if the Knicks get on a run, no matter how small, it could be it could be like a 10-0 run, 8-0 run. MSG is gonna be loud, very, very loud. It's a question of, can they take control of that opportunity? Can they capitalize on it? And sort of shut down the Cavs, which is a very difficult thing to do when the Cavs are the number 1 defense in the league. Can they do it? I have no idea. I do think the Knicks right now are sort of in the Warriors position. Now the series is tied. They're not down 2-0. But I think they sort of have that, if we don't win this, we're probably going to lose the series. They're going to be in some sort of desperation mode. And I think Tom Thibodeau is going to get the team, into shape. RJ Barrett will shoot probably 30% from the floor. I don't think he's going to go and shoot the lights out the ball. But we will see. Julius Randle, I think he will play pretty well. I think he's got to get more physical. I believe he's still dealing with that injury. There was a question mark of will he play for game 1. He did. And, he came up big with some rebounds in game 1. Large part why they stole that game on the road. So I think you're at home. You're up against the number 1 defense in the league. It's about the matchups. Can Jalen Brunson get his? Julius Randle get his? And can RJ Barrett finally hit a shot? I think those are some big questions because I think RJ Barrett is the X factor here.
Yeah.
He averaged 5 more points during the regular season when the Cavs were down 1-3 in the regular season series.
They may not give him the whole game, if
he's averaging 30 minutes a game, and he's putting him no offense.
If he's not doing well in the first 15 minutes, then they may lose some time to some of the other players.
He definitely should, because there are some offensive people on the bench that could, regardless of the regular season, let's not talk about regular season, the potential for what they've done. Emmanuel Quickly, what he's done for the Knicks this season has been phenomenal. Several mid to high 30-point games. He even has a 40-point game in there. Obi Toppin as a starter averaged 20-plus points a game. That's what I'm saying. You might want to put him in there. He definitely deserves more than 15 minutes in a game. I think everyone in the universe could agree that Obi Toppin, could it be that they don't know how to use him? They don't know what lineup he fits in?
I don't know.
It makes no sense to me.
He looks great when he's out there.
I completely agree. His defense could use a little work, but he's a better defender than RJ Barrett. He's a better defender than Emmanuel Quickly. So it's a question
He's
mark.
big too. He's physical.
Very big.
He can be very physical.
He at times can shoot the three very well.
I still think, when you go back to the draft, when Donovan Mitchell the Knicks could have had him. I think it was a mistake, man.
They had a chance to get him in the offseason this past offseason.
Yeah, he's a stud, man. That guy can play.
Absolutely.
Really good. Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's going to be
I don't know why the Jazz gave him up. I don't know why they traded him. That didn't make sense to me.
They also traded away Rudy Gobert. They have a stockpile of picks. It's ridiculous how much people paid for the Rudy Gobert trade. There was, 5 first-round picks in there or something like that? Yeah. We talked about that a couple months ago. It was ridiculous what they got for Rudy Gobert. But, I don't know. We will see. I think the Knicks will win tonight. I think it'll be a long and hard-fought battle. But I do think the Knicks pull out with the win tonight because they have to. They're in desperation mode, even though the series is tied 1 apiece.
Yeah,
you just have that feeling if the Cavs
win
tonight.
It's desperation, but they definitely. If
the Cavs win tonight, I think the Knicks can't rebound for that.
They're not going to be very good if the Knicks lose tonight.
And that's why I say they're in desperation mode. Because I think if they lose tonight, it's not going to be too good for their team chemistry or their psyche moving forward, regardless, home or away. So we will see. But coming up, 5 NFL players have been suspended for violating the NFL's gambling policy. We talk about that, and we also wrap up our first round of our mock drafts with picks 21 to 31. We break all that down right after this.
Introducing video podcasts on Spotify.
Transform your storytelling into a show everyone can watch
or listen to.
Easily upload your video through Anchor, Spotify's free podcast creation tool.
So whether you're showing off a new recipe,
interviewing an exclusive guest,
or uncovering the next mystery,
you can now reach a whole new audience with Spotify.
Podcasting just became more than audio.
Create with Anchor, watch on Spotify.
You have a lot to say. Maybe you've thought, I should start a podcast. Meet Anchor, the easiest way to make a podcast ever. It's a powerful mobile app and web tool that lets you record a podcast anywhere and distribute it everywhere. It's great whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out. And it's 100% free. You can record your show straight into Anchor on your phone, iPad, or the web, using any mic you want. Record alone or with friends or co-hosts anywhere in the world. You can add background music and transitions, and your listeners can send you voice messages that you can incorporate right into your next episode. If you want to produce your show using another app, you can upload your own audio directly from web or mobile and still take advantage of Anchor's totally free podcast hosting. Once your podcast is ready to publish, Anchor can automatically distribute it to every major podcast platform. That includes Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify, so your listeners can hear your show wherever they want. And on the web, you can see detailed analytics about how people are listening. Plus, you'll get a great-looking profile page where anyone can listen to your podcast or subscribe to it. And if you want to ask your audience to support your work, Anchor makes it easy to collect monthly payments from the people who love your podcast and want to see it grow. You really don't need a recording studio, expensive equipment, or a bunch of technical knowledge to deal with a podcast feed. Just get started and join the diverse community of podcasters already on Anchor. We can't wait to hear your podcast.
Welcome back to the Harvey Hour. My name's Nathan Harvey, and as always, I'm joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. Let's get into our next topic. We got some breaking news that broke today. 5 NFL players have been suspended, 3 that are suspended indefinitely, 2 that are suspended for the first 6 games of the season. The NFL released a statement today that says, the NFL confirmed today that 3 players have been indefinitely suspended for violating the league's gambling policy. 2 other players were each suspended 6 games. Quintez Cephas and CJ Moore of the Detroit Lions and Shaka Toney of the Commanders are suspended indefinitely through the conclusion of the 2023 NFL season for betting on NFL games in the 2022 season. Not too good. However, Stanley Berryhill and Jameson Williams of the Lions are suspended only for the first 6 games of the regular season because they placed bets within the facility on non-NFL games. The NFL prohibits gambling within the team facilities, in the building, wherever. You cannot gamble within the organization. You have to gamble outside on non-NFL games or not at all. So, I want to know, what do you think? What's your reaction to another season where a player is, or at least one player, is suspended indefinitely or suspended at all due to gambling?
Well, I see why the NFL has to do it. I mean, it's the integrity of the game. They don't want to be seeing as being soft on that's really important. Other people are out betting on these games, right? Fans are betting on the games, so they don't want to feel like the game's being thrown by the players because they're betting on it too. So they can't have that. They have to enforce that rule. I'm surprised that these players are so stupid that they would do it. I mean, they've seen what happened to Calvin Ridley. He was out for the whole year, right? More than a year, I think. Right?
It was about a year.
Yeah.
Well, it was included in the summer as well.
Yeah. So I don't understand how the players can be so foolish to be doing that. And I read where the Lions general manager said, these players exhibited decision-making that is not consistent with our organizational values and violates league rules. They let 2 of the players go. Right. They're not going to be there anymore. They let the other 2 stay, I guess, because they were betting. They violated the rule that you can't bet within the facility, but they weren't betting on NFL games. Correct. So I guess I can see why they would hang on to them. The other 2 guys may never play football again, right? They may not get picked up by anybody.
Maybe.
Yeah. They'll be playing in the XFL.
Or the USFL.
Yeah.
So, once again, like we just saw this last year. Calvin Ridley bet on NFL games while he was hurt, got suspended indefinitely for the entire season, and then he got reinstated back this past March.
Who's he playing for now?
He's on the Jaguars.
Okay.
Jaguars picked him up. Because I believe the Falcons released him, if I'm not mistaken. So, I mean, we just saw this happen. And I think everybody knows, in the NFL, as a player, you cannot bet on NFL games. Now, the betting within the facility, that's a little bit, non-NFL games within the facility, that is something that I would assume is not as bad because you're not betting on an NFL game.
Yeah, it's against the rules.
Like I said, it's still against the rules.
They must know those rules. I'm sure the teams teach the players what all the rules are.
I would definitely assume so. So this is just being stupid. This is, I didn't look too hard into how young these players are, but I assume they're relatively young players. They haven't been around that long. Because this is something that a young player I think they're more susceptible to doing this. You're not going to see, a 8, 9, 10-year veteran be betting on NFL games or just betting within the facility whatsoever. So,
well, Ridley was a veteran.
Fair point. But he was still I think he was like 26 when he. So it wasn't that he's not like a 10-year veteran. But we just saw this happen. I think it's stupid, but I do think this will happen more because the NFL is making a large sum of its income on these gambling, on fans gambling on these games.
They support it.
Absolutely. They support the fans gambling. Yeah. But the players got to realize, you might be a fan of the game, but you're a part of the game. You're within the game. You actually determine the outcome of the game.
Yeah, right.
And if you're betting on your own team,
the integrity.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the NFL now has a reputation of players betting on their own sport. I think that's a problem.
Yeah. They have rules against it, and if you violate them, man, you pay a big price, and these guys did.
Absolutely. Suspended. Here's the thing. It definitely is it's 1 year to start with. They have to be reinstated and show that they will not do this again and that they are a better person at the end of it.
Generally, they get reinstated, though. I don't think there's been an instance where the player didn't get reinstated. It hasn't happened that often.
Ray Rice. He got
kicked out for other things. I mean, he beat up his wife.
But it was his girlfriend. I think it was his fiance at the time.
Yeah.
She then, I believe, dropped the charges, then married Ray Rice. But then Ray Rice, I guess, got blackballed out of the NFL and just never got picked up on a team again. So, technically, I believe he was on the commissioner's exempt list. I think he was technically suspended indefinitely. I could be wrong on that, but this is just young players doing young, stupid stuff.
Yeah,
that's all it is.
They paid a big price for it.
You waste a whole year.
It's been 60 years since there's been a betting issue with so many players at one time.
What was 60?
60 years ago, it was Alex Karras and Paul Hornung, 2 big stars in the NFL, were suspended for gambling, along with some other minor players. I think there were 5 or 6 of them in total. So there hasn't been this many players suspended at one time since then. That was 60 years ago.
Were they influencing the outcome of the game? Were they throwing the game? Was that ever?
No, I don't think they were throwing the game, but they were stars. I mean, Paul Hornung was a big star, and so was Alex Karras.
Okay.
Alex Karras played for the Lions.
Oh, there you go. It runs in the organization.
Runs in the organization 60 years later.
Yeah, so two players, they lost jobs today.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure they're feeling pretty bad right now.
not only did they lose jobs, they also can't play for a whole year, at least a whole year.
Yeah.
So, also, I'm sorry. Also, the Commanders guy also is out of a job as well. He will also he got released and he can't play for the full year. Jameson Williams, this is weird because he tore his ACL.
Which one? I thought the Commanders guy didn't get released.
There was three players. It was
I thought they were all Lions and one Commanders player.
No, right. Quintez Cephas, CJ Moore were on the Lions. Shaka Tony was on the Commanders. Those guys are suspended indefinitely. Stanley, Berryhill, and Jameson Williams are both on the Lions. They were out for 6 games.
Yeah.
So
But the guy on the Commanders didn't get released.
He did not get released. You're right.
Right.
Yeah. So unfortunate, but with gambling, being a huge emphasis for the fan.
You have no excuse. The rules are clear. You have no excuse. The rules are clear.
I guarantee you there will be another incident. It may not be next year, but it could be the year after that. I think with gambling being a huge part of the game, I think we're going to see more instances like this where players are going to be betting on NFL games, or at least betting within the facility, and they will get they'll face a punishment, which is weird because Jameson Williams tore his ACL back in college. He got drafted, I think, pretty early in the first round. He was out for like most of the season, I think, for the Lions. So he's already starting once again, not being able to play. So unfortunate for these players, unfortunate for the players that got released. But, you decide to do something stupid, you got to pay the price for it. So Quite unfortunate. It is now time for our mock draft 3.0. This is now picks 21 to 31. We're wrapping up our first round of the draft. Once again, just rule reminders, no trades. This is just straight through. Picks 1 to 31, the reason there aren't 32 picks, I'll remind you, the Dolphins tampering Tom Brady back in 2020 led to them losing their first round pick this year. But let's get into it. I will pick first. Let's jump right into it. Pick 21, the Los Angeles Chargers select. Going with Bijan Robinson. Now, Bijan Robinson is a phenomenal running back. People say he's probably the only first-round running back that is even, close to being a first-round running back. The Chargers are dealing with Austin Eckler, and he said worst-case scenario, he's back on the Chargers. So if you're saying that your number one running back, worst-case scenario, is returning to your team, yeah, you're probably going to need to get another running back, and Bijan Robinson has been a very, very, very dominant running back in college. I think this would be a pretty good pickup for the Chargers and replace a hole that is clearly going to be missing if you're going to have Austin Eckler, who once again said worst-case scenario, he's back on the team. Very, very interesting. Pick 22, the Baltimore Ravens select Deonte Banks. I believe he's a cornerback from Maryland. Now, I understand people probably want to go offensive here. However, the Baltimore Ravens lost Marcus Peters in this offseason. I believe he's not signed, but if the Ravens are not going to pursue him to re-sign him, you got to get a guy to line up with Marlon Humphrey. And this guy is an absolutely dominant, quick player. I think this is a wonderful pickup for the Ravens. You got to have that number 2 corner, or maybe I doubt it'll be a number 1 corner, but number 2 corner, line him up next to against a phenomenal defensive back with Marlon Humphrey. Good pickup for the Ravens. I know people want to go offensive here. It's not the Ravens to do offensive. I'm going with what I think the teams will pick, not what I want to pick. Otherwise, I would have Jackson Smith and Jigba go to the Patriots in the last mock draft. Pick number 23, an interesting pick that I think may make sense. I got the Minnesota Vikings taking quarterback Hendon Hooker. Now, Kirk Cousins is on the last year of his deal this year. He's making, I believe, $35 million fully guaranteed. Kirk Cousins has been a liability in primetime games. I believe that's an understatement. For basically his entire career, he has not been able to play in primetime games. Hendon Hooker, I believe, has played the most college games out of any of these quarterbacks that are probably going to be in this first round. You want to get a mature quarterback? He doesn't even need to play this year. You can put him behind Kirk Cousins for this year, and then let Kirk Cousins go. Don't pay him. Get Hendon Hooker on your team, and there you go. You have an experienced college quarterback who I guarantee you, I think this is going to be an interesting pick. He's big, he's athletic, he's strong. I think the Minnesota Vikings could definitely look into this situation.
Isn't he a little older?
He is a little bit older, yeah. But I still think, Kirk Cousins is a 1-year deal. This is the last year of his contract. I think you got to find a replacement here. You want to get a young-ish player, younger than Kirk Cousins, obviously. get a quarterback that is probably, I would say, somewhat most NFL ready. I know Bryce Young's probably the most NFL ready, but get a guy that can play. I think Hendon Hooker is that guy. All right, let's go with pick number 24. The Jacksonville Jaguars select edge rusher Lucas Van Ness. You got to get a pass rush. You were below average, way below average. You were actually bottom 10 in the NFL in defense. You got to get an edge rusher. You got to get someone to pressure the quarterback. You're 28th in passing. You were 12th in rushing. Defense, obviously. Got to get a pass rusher. Lucas Van Ness, a lot of people have him going up in this draft. So I think Lucas Van Ness, you got to get a good edge rusher. I think he's a phenomenal edge rusher. You got to bolster your defense better. I think your offense is more than adequate. You went toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes. You almost beat him. You had a couple opportunities to actually beat him in the playoffs last year. You made it to the playoffs for the first time since, 2017? So I think great opportunity to bolster your defense, get a better defense, upgrade your defense, get that edge rusher that you need, pressure the quarterback. I think this is a great pickup for the Jacksonville Jaguars. The New York Giants, with Daniel Jones, brand new contract, 4 years, $160 million, $80 of that million guaranteed. The Giants select wide receiver Zay Flowers of Boston College. You got it. This is what we've been hearing all the time. All the time. Get Daniel Jones some weapons. Get him some weapons. How about we get a guy that's quick, that's speedy, that is a great slot receiver in Zay Flowers? Why not? He's quick, he's mobile, he's agile. He can run probably the entire wide receiver tree very effectively. You want to get a guy that's great? Get Daniel Jones another weapon. Get him a young talent. Get Zay Flowers. He's probably the best receiver at this point in the draft with Jordan Addison and Jackson Smith and Jigba with them gone. I think, you want to get Daniel Jones some more weapons, prove that he's not as big a bust as people are thinking, or that he's not a top 10 quarterback like people were saying last year. You get him some talent, and we'll see. Now, I would have honestly had, if I didn't pick the Chargers to choose Bijan Robinson, I would have the Giants actually picking Bijan Robinson because Saquon Barkley has not signed his franchise tag and won't show up to voluntary workouts. So there's a little bit of a rift going on there. Will they sort it out? Probably at some point. But just in case you want to have Bijan Robinson as your backup. He's not available at this time in my mock draft. You got to go give Daniel Jones a wide receiver talent in Zay Flowers. I think that's a pretty good pickup. Zay Flowers at number 25. The Dallas Cowboys at number 26. Jerry Jones going for a Super Bowl ring with Dak Prescott. I'm going tight end Dalton Kincaid. Now, you lost Dalton Schultz in the offseason, so you need to repair that tight ending, the tight end group. Why not get a guy who's arguably the best route runner as a tight end in Dalton Kincaid? Now, I think Michael Myers is actually a little bit better than Dalton Kincaid, but I think Dalton Kincaid is a number two tight end in this draft class right now. I saw a couple people saying that he could be the number one tight end in this draft class. Well, at number 26, if the Cowboys get him when you lost Dalton Schultz, who was incredibly effective for your offense, I think it's going to be very, very important that you go and replenish that tight end group, pick up Dalton Kincaid, who once again, arguably the best tight end in this draft. I think it's Michael Myers. Personally, I had him gone at 15 to the Packers, but you get the second best. I think the Cowboys, and hey, Dak Prescott loves his tight ends. I think this is a great pickup for the Dallas Cowboys. Number 27, the Buffalo Bills select. I'm going Trenton Simpson, I believe is defensive edge from Clemson. Now, we had some issues last year. Von Miller got hurt. The defense fell apart late in the season. They weren't that same dominant defense. And honestly, since week one, they weren't honestly all that great on defense. They had their moments. I understand. They're a top 10. They're number 6 total defense. However, their rushing defense was in large part due it was because of rushing defense. They were 5th in total rush defense. They were 15th in passing defense. I think honestly, Von Miller, you paid him a bunch of money. Will he get hurt again? That could be a big question mark. You want to have that backup. You want to have depth. You want to have the defensive end, a guy who could line up on any spot on the field. I believe you had him going a little bit sooner in the draft. You had him, I think, top 10, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Going to I think it was the number 7.
I don't think he'll be there, Nate, at 27.
It may be. I'm not too sure, but I do think Trent Simpson is a good pickup here. I would have gone running back if I had Bijan Robinson available. I don't think there's another running back in the first round that is the same level as Bijan who is even worth the first-round pick. I'm going defense. The Bills don't have a lot of holes. I would say you go Trenton Simpson at number 27. Number 28, the Cincinnati Bengals select, after a somewhat disappointing season in the playoffs, they select Emmanuel Forbes, defensive back, Mississippi State. I was taking a look at this cornerback group. It's not that great. It honestly is not that great. Now, you could go offensive line. I was really honestly debating getting another offensive lineman because I didn't know exactly how great, any of these pickups were. The offensive linemen at this point aren't, exactly phenomenal compared to the offensive linemen earlier in this draft. However, you see a lot of linemen who are depth players who could play almost any spot on the line, who get picked, second, third, fourth round, and could be definitely formidable on most, if not any team. Emmanuel Forbes, I think, is a great pickup for a cornerback group that doesn't look that dominant. You got like Mike Hinton and I'm forgetting his name. I'll bring it up right now. But your quarterback group is not good. And in the AFC, where you have Mahomes throwing the ball, you got Josh Allen, you have Tua when he's healthy. People hate saying that, but Tua when he's healthy is a pretty good quarterback. Who was I thinking of? You got Cam Taylor-Britt. You got Marvell Tell III. Mike Hinton, like I said. Chidobe Awuzie. That's what I was thinking about. He's another cornerback of yours. You don't really have a dominant cornerback group in the AFC. You want to add a young guy who's quick, who's big, who has phenomenal reflexes. Emmanuel Forbes is your guy at number 28. Number 29, the New Orleans Saints with brand new quarterback Derek Carr select Nolan Smith, defensive edge, I believe, or defensive end. The Saints defense took some major hits, especially on that defensive line. Major hits. I have the list here of players that they lost. David Onyemata, defensive tackle. Shai Tuttle, defensive tackle. Marcus Davenport, defensive end. Kentavious Street, defensive tackle. They had like the number 4 defense a few years ago, and they still had a very, very good defense last year. I'll bring up the number right now. They had the 5th ranked defense last year. And you lost you lost at least 2 of your guys, maybe 3 if you include Tuttle, Onyemata and Davenport, who were both insane parts of that defense. Now, I believe you still have Cam Jordan, but besides him, you don't have those other threats. You want to get Nolan Smith from Georgia? Anyone else seeing that Georgia defense? I think Nolan Smith is going to fit right in with the Saints defense with Dennis Allen, who's a defensive head coach. I just think this will work really well. The defensive line right now is a problem for the Saints, especially if you lose great players like Onyemata and Davenport and Tuttle and Street. You got to fill in that hole right there, and I think Nolan Smith is your guy. Number 30. Now, I say the Philadelphia Eagles select. If we were doing trades, this would be a pick that would get traded away. However, I'm picking the Eagles to pick Will McDonald IV. They don't have many holes, if any. Now, I know you don't know this, but they recently, like yesterday, signed Matt Patricia as their senior defensive assistant.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Which is going to be interesting because Darius Slay is on the team, and Darius Slay had very choice words when he was on the Lions being head coached by Matt Patricia. So I'm not sure how that would work. However, I think if you're not trading up, because we're not doing trades in this mock draft, bolster your defense. You lost Hargrave, which is a huge part of that defensive front. Get another guy on that defensive line, generate pressure. I guarantee you he'll probably be, if there's 70 snaps in a game, 70 defensive snaps, let's just say I'm throwing a number out there, he'll probably play about 20, 25, my guess would be in his rookie year. I think he could be pretty effective here. You're going for depth here. If you're not trading away this pick because we're not doing trades, you want to go depth here. The Eagles don't really have many holes, maybe offensive linemen. Although I'll say again, I don't love the offensive lineman at this spot, at least a first-round pick type of an offensive lineman at this spot, because Lane Johnson was hurt. Jason Kelsey is up there in age. You have offensive linemen that maybe have injury problems. Lane Johnson, he's a huge part of that offense. He barely gives up any sacks in his entire career. So maybe go offensive lineman. I just think defense, you lost a couple people on defense. You want to get that defense going at the same level. You had 70 sacks last year. You're going for the 85 Bears record, which is incredibly impressive. So once again, not trading away this pick because that's not what we're doing here. But get that defense up again. And the final pick from my mock draft, the Kansas City Chiefs, at number 31 select wide receiver Josh Downs. You lost Juju Smith-Schuster. You re-sign, I believe, Justin Watson. Mahomes throwing to Justin Watson or to you lost McCole Hardman as well. You need to get a wide receiver, someone to replenish what you lost. Now, Mahomes is insane. He won with Juju Smith-Schuster not being all that great. So, they tried to get him, but the Patriots outbid for Juju, which I think is just a dumb idea. Josh Downs, UNC, I think he's a first round pick as a wide receiver. Now, honestly, maybe the Bills could get him as a wide receiver 3. The Bengals maybe as a wide receiver 3, although they have plenty of receivers. I think the Chiefs need to get a wide receiver early in this draft because I don't think they're going out spending a bunch of money on like a DeAndre Hopkins, even though DeAndre Hopkins wants to play for the Chiefs. He non-verbally confirmed that he wants to be on the Chiefs and as well as the Bills. But I think without Juju, without McCole Hardman, I think you got to get someone in there that's not, a wide receiver 4, like a Sky Moore or someone being your main target, or a running back like McKissick, if I'm not mistaken, or even Pacheco. He's out for a couple passes. You got to get some wide receivers. Mahomes is insane. He could do tremendous things. You got to give him at least someone to throw to. He doesn't need to be that great because he didn't have a great receiving core this year. You got to at least give him someone that is at least adequate. And Josh Downs in the slot, that's where Juju played. I think this could be a match made in heaven. Maybe. We will have to see, though, because it is, you have to think about it. Rookie receiver. I'm not too sure how that will work, but those are my picks. That is my mock draft round 1.
Not a bad
finished
selections there, Nate, but I think some of those players are going to be gone before they get to your.
Well, in your mock draft, they are gone, so we will see.
Yeah.
All right, let's be with your picks now.
Okay.
21, the Los Angeles Chargers.
Number 21, I take Kayshon Boutte, a wide receiver from LSU. He adds depth to the receiving core of the Chargers. He's an electrifying athlete who complements Williams and Allen very well. I think he'll be a good pickup for the Chargers. At number 22, I like Nolan Smith. Take him away from you. He's not going to be there. He's offensive outside linebacker for Georgia, a really good one. The Ravens linebackers are old, except for Tyus Bowser. And I think Smith brings juice to the pass rush and is from the SEC, which is a prestige college league. So I like Nolan Smith to the Ravens.
Number 23, the Minnesota Vikings.
I like Devon Witherspoon.
I have him gone at number 7.
Yeah.
So 23,
yeah,
that'd be a steal at 23.
Yeah. Cornerback from Illinois. The Vikings secondary is pathetic. It's time to blow it up and to start over, and this guy's be the foundational piece. Okay? Jacksonville at number 24. I like DeJuan Jones, a tackle from Ohio State. They're very questionable, Jacksonville at right tackle for the Jaguars, and Jones is an intriguing prospect. So I like him to go at number 24 to Jacksonville. At number 25, the Giants, Drew Sanders, an inside linebacker from Arkansas. At the end of the season last year, the Giants' linebacker core was a revolving door of castaway veterans. And Sanders has his rough edges, but is very versatile and a dynamic athlete. So I like him to go to the Giants at number 25. And now Dallas at number 26, somebody that you had on your picks, Lucas Van Ness, the defensive lineman from Iowa. I think he provides the flexibility so that Micah Parsons doesn't have to rush on every play and can also take a little bit of burden off of DeMarcus Lawrence. He can rush the edge or the inside. So I think he'd be a very good player for Dallas to give them more flexibility and versatility. The Bills at number 27. I like Brian Branch, a safety from Alabama.
He's gone already for me.
Yeah. This is at safety last year. They're thin at safety, and I don't know about Hamlin, whether he's cleared to play, but should he play?
He's saying he's going to play again. So.
I don't know. Hyde and Poyer are both in their 30s. So I think picking this guy up from Alabama, even though you picked him earlier, maybe he will be gone. He's versatile and can cover on the backside. So I think he's a good pickup for the Bills. At number 28, I have Keely Ringo, cornerback from Georgia. He's got big size. He's very athletic and from a big-time program. which the Bengals like. They like the big-time programs. So I like Keely Ringo to go to the Bengals. At number 29, the Saints. I like Bijan Robinson, that running back that you had going a little earlier than this. He'll lighten the load for Kamara, who's had 2 lousy seasons now. And I think he'll be the foundational back for the Saints going forward.
Not only that, I will say this. Kamara's dealing with some potential legal issues with the domestic dispute that happened like 2 years ago.
Maybe this guy,
he's going to trial this summer, I believe. So we'll see what exactly happens.
Well,
but
maybe Robinson won't be there by the time they get to number 20.
Well, I think if he is, and then Kamara, there's a problem legally. I think that's actually a really, really good pickup for you.
Okay, the Eagles at number 30. I like Deontay Banks, the cornerback from Maryland. He's a shutdown corner with upside. He gives the Eagles depth, even though they have a very good secondary. This guy will give them some depth. And he's not, he played it at a college not too far from Philadelphia, so maybe he has a following there. And number 31, the last pick for me in the first round for Kansas City, Luke Musgrave, a tight end from Oregon State. You mentioned Kelsey will be 34 years old. I think this guy will be the heir apparent. And those are my picks.
Heir apparent? Luke Musgrave? You say the next Travis Kelsey? Interesting. People are saying Dalton Kincaid is the next Travis Kelsey.
We'll see.
That is interesting. But that does wrap up our official round 1 mock drafts. It has been it's been very interesting.
Now the draft is next week, right?
The draft is next Thursday.
We can tick off our ones and see if we get any of them right.
Hey, I was looking back at a couple of my mock drafts. If everyone turned out, like, in retrospect, the way the players are now, if they were on the teams that I put them on, I think teams would be incredible. Like the players would be perfect fits, honestly.
Okay, well, we'll see if you're right or wrong.
Hey, the thing I'm scared about now, C.J. Stroud is plummeting for whatever reason. C.J. Stroud now, like, there's a chance he's outside of the top 10.
You're kidding.
He did.
Why?
Yeah, they used to do that test that like I don't know if it's a written test or a cognitive test. Ryan Fitzpatrick did really, really great on it. He
went to Harvard.
Right. They did a new one, I believe, called the S2. Bryce Young did phenomenally. He got like a 98%. CJ Stroud got an 18%. So because of that, and people are just all of a sudden starting hating on Stroud for whatever reason, he's plummeting.
Yeah.
Now it looks like guaranteed Bryce Young goes number 1. So that you're probably going to be right there.
I had Stroud at number 2. So.
You did, and the thing about that is the Texans don't love Stroud.
Huh.
And we talked about Caserio being conservative and trading back that pick or drafting someone that's not a quarterback. I think that situation may be true.
I think that's a mistake for the Texans.
I completely agree it's a mistake, but...
maybe they'll take Levis.
That
will screw up the Colts. Right? Colts will have to take Richardson,
or they take Stroud for whatever reason
maybe.
He's plummeting. I don't understand.
You know what? They might take Stroud because he played the program right nearby.
I don't think like location is like perfect. I think the guy that
I see players like the Green Bay takes a lot of Notre Dame players.
Fair. I just think it's not a big factor as you're probably thinking it is. But well, I do think that will wrap up this episode of the Harvey Hour. Great episode. We will be back Monday for some more NBA basketball action. We're gonna definitely be going Game 4 of the Warriors Kings series. I'm sure we'll talk about the Knicks, Celtics tonight. Right now are looking to go up 3-0 in the series. The Sixers are up 3-0. They could be the first team to sweep, maybe. We will see. But for this episode of the Harvey Hour, my name is Nathan Harvey. That's my dad, Stephen Harvey. We are the Harvey Hour. We will catch you guys Monday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, right here on YouTube.
Bye-bye.
Introducing video podcasts on Spotify.
Transform your storytelling into a show everyone can watch
or listen to.
Easily upload your video through Anchor, Spotify's free podcast creation tool.
So whether you're showing off a new recipe,
interviewing an exclusive guest,
or uncovering the next mystery,
you can now reach a whole new audience with Spotify.
Podcasting just became more than audio.
Create with Anchor, watch on Spotify.